You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Revolution After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Revolution After Show.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am your host, Megan Thomas, and you are here on the Revolution After Show, being is for doing. How you doing, Brandon London?
I'm doing just fine, Megan Thomas.
All right, Larry Shamar is not here today, but we are discussing Season 1, Episode 16, The Love Boat.
Can you say that again?
The Love Boat. I can't really sing, but that's the best I can do.
We'll work on that. We'll work on that.
But even more importantly, we have a special guest today. Okay, it's a secret.
It's a secret?
Yeah. Do you know who it is?
Yes, I do know who it is, but I'm going to play like I'm the audience right now, and I'm going to sit here and bite my nails and say.
We have an awesome
Maria, you're on the line with AFTERBUZZ TV?
Yes, we have Maria Howell, who plays Grace Beaumont on Revolution.
Hello, everybody.
Yay. We're so glad to have you.
Yes, we are.
Wonderful to have you, Maria.
Thank you.
You did an awesome job on this episode, especially.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to see
you.
what your character has in store. How has it been so far working on Revolution?
Well, you know, it's interesting because people ask that question all the time, and outside of thanking God I have a job, I'm the group. Everybody in that crew is just like family.
Good, that's nice.
So it feels very comfortable. So it's kind of always interesting how people are like, oh, go do something to Neville. I'm like, he's my friend. It's kind of hard to talk bad about him.
Oh, that is awesome.
But, yeah, I have to separate myself and remember, you know, people are looking at it a different way, and I have to not get so, like, tender because I'm such a caring kind of person, so.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's like a big family.
And you know what? And I think it shows, like, with the chemistry between all of the characters. You can see that you guys genuinely like each other, at least the people that are on the same side. And it's really good because that translates. And, of course, it translates to the audience, which then translates to the rating. So that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And it's crazy because my role, of course, I'm not on every episode, so therefore, a person would think, you know, I don't have that familial type of relationship, but it's like we pick up where we left off. Yes. Every time I'm there, I'm like, hey, you know, we're just chit-chatting and meeting each other's family members and stuff. It's a wonderful experience.
Now, how you doing, Maria? My name is Brandon London. I'm a big fan of the show, and I'm a big fan of your character as well, and you as an actress as well.
You said Brandon?
Yes, ma'am, Brandon.
I have a nephew, Brandon. I love that name. Go ahead.
See, we're family. We're family now. See, we just got a bunch of family.
Right, Revolution family just expanded.
So, how often are you around the cast and crew? How often do you film? And how long are your shoot dates usually?
Well, okay, that's a loaded question.
Oh, okay.
Simply because since I'm not on every episode, I don't have to be there all the time. I was actually, for the past 4 months or so, something like that, I had been doing another show at the same time.
Okay.
So I was doing 2 shows, and the next show comes out on Lifetime in June. So I was kind of strung out myself in a happy and good way. But to answer your question more succinctly, more precisely, when I go to town, wherever we are shooting, and most of it was shot in North Carolina, in Wilmington, North Carolina, I go there, I'm there for a few days, I'm out. Because one thing about them, they do really efficient work.
Wow.
They get it packed in. And I didn't have a gun.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm like, they work. I have such admiration and respect for especially Billy Burke and Tracy and Daniela, and Elizabeth, they work hard.
Yeah,
They're very hard, and I have the utmost respect for them.
Yeah, so give us a little insight on some of these characters. Who would you say is most like their character on the show, on the set?
Oh, wow. Most like them in real life.
Yes.
It's amazing how they can turn it off, and I'm like, oh wow, because they have me caught up, and I'm also an actor too. So I would say, oh wow. I would almost say, because I can't say in totality, but my first inclination is Tracy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Who plays Charlie.
Charlie,
Yes.
okay.
Simply because those big goo goo gaga eyes she has.
Yes, beautiful
They're
eyes.
real.
Yeah.
They are so real, and that smile. Because one thing about her, sometimes I'm like, that girl has such a beautiful smile. I wonder if she's like, can she tone the? I mean, does she know how to hide her smile? Because some people just have natural smiles, and she's one of those.
Yeah.
So whatever you see in her character that's coming out that's loving and compassionate, that's closer to her in real life, in my opinion.
Okay. Now, who would you say is the least like their character on the show?
Neville.
Really?
I can see
How's
that.
he different?
I don't want to tell us, but there's a marshmallow. I love him. He is so sweet. He is so kind and so gentle.
Okay, I can see that.
He to me has the biggest, from real life, the biggest gap of, oh my gosh. He's like one of those people like when you see on a soap opera that you hate their character, you love them, but you hate them because they do their job so well.
Yes, which he does.
And and I pray that he doesn't get stopped on the street and it's like, people snarl at him.
Yeah, he probably does. He probably does.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, you know what, Maria? Let's get into this episode because I know you have a very significant part towards the end, but we want to get some of your take on this episode because we know that you're a huge fan. Not only are you an actress on the show, but you're a huge, huge fan, which we love because that means that you do your job even better than most actors and actresses. So let's start with Captain Neville. He joins Miles. Now they're on the same team for the Georgia Federation.
He has official papers. Yeah. It's sealed and everything.
Yep. Sealed and everything. And he comes to tell Miles that there's an anthrax scare that Monroe is cooking up. And there's a doctor that they've got to get named Dr. Ethan Camp. Now, I thought, like, oh, there's no way this is going to work.
Anthrax. That's what the same thing I was. First time I heard anthrax, I was like, what is Monroe going to do with anthrax?
They're bringing all the old school stuff back.
You gotta, really bringing all old school back. But you got to look at it this way. This is how I look at it. You don't have to, but my mind is going. They've been without for so long.
Yes.
That they're scrambling for anything to have a one-up on somebody.
Right.
Well, somebody knew how to make anthrax. If that's all they have, that's all they have.
Yes.
At that time. You know what I mean? And so I think throughout the show, you've seen them come up with things. Let's take the bow, for example. Who would have thought of using a bow? You got people with guns.
Right.
That's what they have. It's hard for us to put ourselves in a situation where we don't have because we're so privileged. We have everything. You know, so
that's true.
They have to fight for what they have at their fingertips.
Yep.
And then that particular scientist, he knew how to make anthrax. That's probably what he was making before, the blackout.
Right.
Who knows?
And we see they're going to bring back. What are they going to bring back? Some chicken pox or some polio next? Maria? What are they going to bring back?
You know what? You never know.
Never know. All right.
There's always some kind of twist.
Yeah.
Right.
So my mind thinks about those things. I have a science background. I'm a pre-med major.
Oh,
so I'm constantly being analytical and breaking that kind of stuff down. Like, wow, okay, that makes sense in this kind of situation, But who am I? I'm a nerd. So what?
And it's funny that you said that because I wanted to ask you how much can you identify with your character? You're saying that you're a nerd, and in on the show, your character's pretty much a nerd, and you're turning the power back on and all that stuff. So, like,
so basically, that's not a big stretch. I'm not really that good of an actor.
So Grace is you, and you are Grace. Basically,
there is a connection because the way I think in life, period. Although, because we just did this test, and I found that I've got there are 4 quadrants in the brain.
Okay.
I've got a significant part of every quadrant.
Oh,
not that makes me a genius. It just means I'm so well-rounded in a lot of ways that I operate and manage my life. So when it comes to the character and how I relate to my real life, that analytical part of me is just so like, wow. It's right there. It's right there on target.
Oh, I see.
I like to break things apart and understand them, and I have to know why. How does this work? Why does it work like that?
Exactly.
And I think it comes out in my behavior, my gestures, just my demeanor, my body language.
Yeah, it reads very well when you watch the show and you see Grace. You can definitely tell Grace is an analytical person, and since that is how you are in real life, it just translates naturally, I think.
It really does.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. I get told that all the time. They used to call me OCD, but I found a new term. I'm not OCD. I'm OCPD.
What is that?
That means that's obsessive compulsive personality disorder. That means I have I'm neat like a monk, but I'm not extreme, and I don't have psychosis to accompany it. So I'm good. I'm safe.
Okay, little tidbit about Maria Howell there. Yes. She's OCPD, not OCD.
OCPD.
So in the episode, we see that Nora and Charlie are not happy with Neville coming back. I wouldn't be either, because obviously he tried to kill us. Her brother's dead. Her father's dead. Most of this is due to Neville and, of course, the Monroe Republic. So I'm kind of I don't know how I took this. I don't know if I should have felt more positive or negative about it. But when Nora and Charlie go to talk to Miles about Neville coming back, he's like, "This is not a democracy. Either get in line or leave." How do you guys feel about that?
Well, I feel like that's Miles. Miles is taking charge. He has to.
Okay.
But there's understandably so, a lot of built-up resentment from Charlie.
Yes.
A lot. Now, Nora has her own built-up resentment because she was, with the rebels and everybody, and they wanted to get rid of that whole, his whole regime. That was her mission. They had 2 different missions, but by the same token, they have this major anger. Understandable.
Yeah. Having
Miles try to calm them down, my God, I think that like when Charlie, when she was getting ready, when Neville had the gun on the scientist, and then she put the gun on Neville.
Yes.
I just knew she was going to blow.
Right. I just said, oh, this is not going to end well. 2 people in this little hole are going to die right now.
But there was so much dynamic in that one scene. Yes. I was like, oh, my gosh. And it's kind of cool, again, to be a part of the show, but I don't get to see everybody else film their scenes. Even though I've read the script, I don't get to see all of the scenes being shot. So there's still a certain bit of mystique in it for me. And so I was on edge. I was like, "Oh my God! Think about what could happen here."
Exactly.
This could be the finale.
Right.
And
so I don't know. I really don't know. Just like you said, Megan, I don't know how I felt about that, because I had mixed emotions too. I was like, "Oh, just go ahead and do what you got to do," but then again, like, no, because I want to see how Neville's gonna play this out, and where's his heart really? Where's his head? But then where his head is, the way he treats his son. So.
Exactly, yes. What about you, Brandon?
Well, I think, the way that Charlie and the way that Nora is treating Miles like Miles, I feel like that's going to be a problem, because there's a difference between Miles and General Matheson. They're talking to him, and they're talking to him as Miles, because Miles suddenly has been showing that he has a little bit of heart, and he's feeling bad about the killing and getting people killed in essence for being involved with him. But now, and what she keeps trying to express to Charlie, this is war. This is General Matheson, and they shouldn't be getting in the way with any plan he feels as though he needs to carry out. And if he feels as though Neville being on the team right now is necessary, then it's got to work, because he's not stupid. He knows, like he said to him, he said, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you." But right now, he needs Neville to, you know, to beat Monroe.
Right. And I think the arrival. I'm sorry. The arrival of Captain Neville also, I believe, sends Miles from being Miles to General Matheson. He has to go back to that place because the last episode.
You just hit it. What I was going to say, that there are the longer we live on this earth, we come to places where we have to make those hard decisions of like, okay, look, am I going to put me first, or am I going to put the cause first?
Yeah,
and that's hard. And he has had to make a hard decision, Miles has, to say, you know what, the greater goal is to save the world, and that means get rid of Bass.
Right. Yeah. And if that means he has to team up with Neville, he'll
is
do
a necessary evil in that equation.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Yes. And I think that also is why in this episode you see Miles is also returning back to alcohol. As he said before, you know, he tried to run away. He tried to run away to Chicago.
Just like the pilot, he opened up drinking alcohol.
Exactly. Yeah. He to get away, I think, to drown out who he has to become when he's General Matheson and who he really wants to be on the inside, which is like a caring dude. I think that's why he has to go back to his alcoholism. And you see Major Neville, when they're on the boat, gives him the flask. Yeah. And he readily accepts it. Yes. Like, I readily accept going back to this dark place in my life.
And it was really cool. So the symbolism of the alcohol, they could have had him doing anything else.
Yeah.
But because the alcohol, to me, that took me right back to the pilot. Because he was just coming out of a place trying to be under the radar, you know, and that was his way of coping.
Right.
And then it's like, all of a sudden here, he's back at that kind of place where he has to cope and make it through it, you know. So that alcohol, to me, there was a subliminal symbolism there, and which I kind of like. I love when I look at things and I see symbolism.
Yes.
You know.
And it's not like he asked for this newfound drama, you know. Like, he was in Chicago trying to forget about, you know, that his past life, and they came knocking on his door. They came looking for him. So
absolutely,
it's like it's one of those things where I feel like and you're saying symbolism. I feel like it's something where, like, you can never escape your past. Like, the alcohol is like telling you. You are who you are, no matter if you run from it or not. Your past is always going to catch up with you somehow, and that's kind of what I felt like the alcohol was.
Yeah.
And he's fighting a war externally and internally.
Exactly.
He's dealing with the demons of his own self, you know.
Right. And so we see from there that at the beginning of the show, we also see that he and his gang go to get Dr. Camp. They bust him out from the lab that he's in. And at the same time, what we don't see is that Major Neville went to go get Dr. Camp's family. His family. And I thought I was a little mad that Miles knew the entire situation, but he didn't tell the rest of his group. He didn't tell Charlie. He didn't tell Nora.
He doesn't have to.
I mean, he doesn't have to, but up until this point, up until Neville has showed up, you remember he's been telling them the plans. He's, for the most part.
Okay.
He didn't tell them that he was leaving to go home.
But I don't think the plan was as complicated as it is now.
Yes, true.
And I don't think Miles is making the best decisions. He's just doing what he's, you know, trained to do.
And I think this was a real struggle for him internally, which is why he's having such a hard time. He knew, being softer from the other episodes, the last few episodes, we see, you know, more of his humanity. We see that this episode, he doesn't really know what to do. And I think that's part of the reason why he doesn't tell Nora or Charlie that, the rest of the plan is to get Camp's wife and daughter, and we're going to hold them separately, because he knew how they would react. That was my take as to why he didn't tell them.
One thing that caught me, and this is jumping scenes, when Nora was saying, Miles, you really haven't changed.
Yeah.
And he was laying in the bed, and she was walking out of the room. That scene kind of got me for some reason, and simply because it's like he was so non-reactionary.
Yeah.
And I was, it got me in a good way. It got me engaged, because I was like, wow, I kind of like been in that situation before where you just really don't want to answer. You want to answer, but you don't want to respond.
Yes.
Because you think you can't make your mind up fast enough, the best way to go with it.
Yeah.
So I could relate to what he was dealing with.
Exactly. And the sad part about it is, I think in a way, Nora wanted him to say, don't leave and go to another unit, because you remember that's what she said. She's like, I'm going to have to leave. You're still the same person. I can't deal with this. And I think she went there. She just wanted him to say, no, I'm not like that. Times are tough right now. And he really was emotionless. And he really was General Matheson at that point. I think so.
Yep, absolutely. I just thought that was an interesting scene myself.
Yes. And seeing all this, I'm beginning to think how each character, how they think this whole situation is going to play out at the end. You know, with Charlie and Nora, I guess they really think that, you know, the lights are going to get turned back on. Everybody's going to be holding hands, and, you know, the world is going to be one for some reason. Exactly.
Right.
Like,
you know, honestly, I would love, even if I could tell you, I wouldn't know what to tell you, simply because the writers are so brilliant with the cliffhangers. They throw things in. I can't even keep up.
Yes. That's
you know, it's like, I really don't know.
And that's why this show is so great. That's what makes it so great. That's why this show is so great, because you never know what's going to happen. Yeah. There's so many twists and turns.
You never do. Because even like I said, last night's episode, I sat there and I went, I was actually going, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not the first time I've done that, but I can tell you this, and I will tell you this. Keep watching. Wow.
Oh, yes. We will definitely keep watching, Marie.
Yes.
So let's go and talk
about some stuff coming up. Boy.
Let's talk about the boat. When we mentioned earlier how Charlie and Dr. Camp and Neville were in the little hiding room as the Monroe Republic's boat came to do just a routine inspection. And when they came out, Neville punched the bejesus out of Charlie.
Yes.
Look, that girl can take a punch.
She can.
I sat there and I said, ow. You know, he clocked her. I'm not going to lie.
He did. I mean, and I was upset because when Miles comes back into the room, he just basically hems him up against the wall and pushes his neck. He should have at least punched him in the eye, something. I just felt like there should have been more of a forceful exchange between Miles and Neville. He just he socked your niece in the face.
Now, mind you, Miles was drinking, right? I'm just joking.
Well, yeah, he should have definitely did something.
He might have had a drink before that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I really didn't even think too much about it because I think I was still on the punch that Charlie took.
Right.
And the fact that
that was major.
Yes.
The fact that you keep on referring to Charlie as Miles's niece, that's where the problem is. She thinks she can do anything she wants because her uncle is General Matheson.
Okay, wait a minute. So you think that she shouldn't have held that gun to Neville's head?
No, because the scientist was about to make noise. They were about to get captured, and that's why he put the gun to Dr. Camp's head to tell him, be quiet, you know, don't make a sound, don't get us captured.
I got you, but when they got out, do you think it was okay for him to punch this girl in the face?
He has to show some type of authority. He is now the number 2. You know, Miles is number 1, Neville's number 2. Charlie thinks that she's 1A or she's 1B or she's 1C. She's not. She's not up there. She's not ready for the type of missions that they go on. She's not ready for the type of intelligence that they receive. She's a warrior right now.
She's on a mission of passion.
Yes.
Where they're strategically missioned. But think about this. Neville, the way he clocks his own son,
right.
Everybody else's game. I mean, it's fair game. You know, he has no bearing on any whatever value system of who's important or not.
I see.
Because he clocked his own son. So, and Neville's another one to me that's made that decision of like the cause first.
Yes.
My wife is almost like apples and apples, but they're apples and oranges. Because his wife he will look out for. And he'll take care of her before he takes care of his own son. And
the problem with the Federation / rebels, they have no cause right now. Their only cause is killing Monroe. After that, it's a what now? Yeah. It's a what now? That's chaos. That's going to breed chaos.
I think so. I really just feel like when Miles came, there should have been something more forceful, because I just knew as soon as Miles came to hem up Neville, I just knew he's going to punch him in the face. He's going to do something really quick to this dude to let him know, you can't handle my niece like that.
There you go.
I was really mad.
Niece. There you go, saying she's a niece. She's a soldier.
Again, like I said, I don't think that Miles is able at this point. He's got a lot of emotions going on, too. I mean, you think about it. He just had the woman die. What was her name again? I forgot.
Emma.
That had the son by Bass.
Emma.
Right. So it's like, yeah, we know who Emma was to him, but we don't know the depths of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's true.
He's got that on his head. He's still having visions of that. He's got Nora. He doesn't know what to do with Nora. Somewhere he's had the visions of Rachel. I mean, he's got all these people in his head right now.
Yes.
Let's just say he's got woman problems.
He does. He has a lot of issues.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he's got a lot on his mind and maybe clouding his judgment on how he needs to handle every situation. Who knows?
Yes.
You know.
So Charlie then wants to let the Dr. Camp go, and she's like, this is not what we came here to do. We don't steal people. We don't kidnap families. We don't do that. And she goes to remind Miles of this, but Miles is kind of like, this is just the price of war. And when she tries to remind him, this is what you guys did to my mom, he said, yes, this is exactly what we did to your mom. I thought he was going to try to sugarcoat it a little bit and be like, it's not the same. But he really was like, no, this is just like that. And there's a purpose behind it.
Yes.
That's ruthless.
And also, too, Charlie, again, on that passion tip, she is just saying, look, if I couldn't save my brother, I want somebody's family to be saved. If my family can't be together, let somebody's family be together.
Yes.
And which is cute.
So,
it's cute, but at the same time, she needs to know her role. She needs to know her role. She needs to know her role. She's going to get someone killed. Or she's going to cause some type of pain or something, some type of loss to the rebels / Federation.
I mean, I think
let me ask you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Maria, go ahead.
Now, I was going to ask you a question, both of you this question. Do you think Charlie has a lot of her mother in her?
Oh, I definitely think so.
Yes.
I think that's where she gets that fiery passion from, is her mother.
Yeah.
Maybe the strategy side of her comes from her father, but I think definitely the passion, because Rachel's a broken character, but she's also very, very passionate about whatever she has her mind set on.
Yes.
And that's where Charlie gets it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with you. You pretty much took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, and she, to the point where she locks Miles in his room, and she's got her new friend / boyfriend, who's Jason Neville.
They don't know what they're doing, but anyway.
Right, they're not sure about it. But I thought it was funny because now you see the old school, which was Major Neville and Miles being locked up and knocked out by their kids. And then you see the new school warriors, which is Jason and Charlie, and they're taking over this ship. And they got Nora.
Isn't that something?
It is something.
But to you,
I thought that was a nice flip, and then of course it flipped back.
It always does.
I love all of that.
Yeah, but and this goes to you, Miss Megan, because she took out the general, she took out the number 2. They took out the number 2 man in Neville. Should she get away with it because she's the niece? That's a soldier committing treason. That's a soldier. She's still a soldier in the army, and she's doing this type of stuff.
Okay, so then what is he gonna do? What should they do? Tell her that she can't be a part of the rebels? This is what the rebels do.
You beat her up. Who
beats her up?
Somebody beats her up and shows her.
You're approving of women beating now?
No, hey, this is. She has to get reprimanded. She has to get reprimanded for this.
So that's what I'm saying. But how do you reprimand her? Because first of all, she's not a true soldier in the sense that she's under a strategic military, because she's part of the rebels. She's not a part of the Georgia Federation. So then what then does she do? Because her cause is aligned with freeing the people, including Dr. Camp, which is aligning with what the rebels do.
Okay, picture this. You're Bass. Okay? And Bass has a niece.
Okay.
Think of Bass and his niece. And Bass's niece went and knocked Bass out, knocked out Bass's number 2, took the prisoners and tried to escape with the prisoners. What would Bass do to his niece?
Oh, Bass would have her beheaded.
Thank you.
Be legged, be armed, be everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bass
this is
would.
war.
Well, good thing Bass is not her uncle.
I think I got her stumped on that one.
Yes. And
which proves another point, too, that Miles has more of a compassionate heart.
He does, yes. He's not like General He's not like Miles. Excuse me, not like Bass. I'm getting my names mixed up here.
Which ultimately is going to that's why they're going to lose. If they lose, that's why. When you're fighting that type of evil, you have to go there. Like you have to get just as
I don't
evil
believe
as Riley with that.
I believe that good and love conquers all. Okay.
All right now. Okay.
I believe that they're gonna win, and Maria, you can back me up. And if you want to spread this little tidbit of
TMZ.com.
if you would like to reveal a little bit, no, but I'm saying I feel like they're gonna be victorious. The Rebels and the Georgia Federation, at least with anybody that's aligning themselves with Miles, is gonna be okay. I promise you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Say so.
I like that. Well, then I'll make a note to align with Miles myself.
There you go, Grace. Go ahead, Ms. Beaumont. So then we see that they try to, they see the boat where Dr. Camp's niece and, Dr. Camp's daughter and his wife are, and they try to make a getaway. And of course, Major Neville and he does some MacGyver-like stuff and gets out of the room. He frees everybody else. So now there's just a back and forth between the Rebels and Major Neville, and the exchange he has with his son it's heart-wrenching again, because now to me they're no longer they're done. It feels like there's no room for repair, but you see that Neville has some type of loving humanity. He loves his wife. So there is some good in him somewhere, but the disregard. She is the one component that will be the possible fixer for the two of them. Yes, she helps him remain human versus just a killing, angry man. And
yeah.
Is it? I don't know. What do you think, Brendan? Is the relationship between Major Neville and his son repairable?
I don't think so. Anytime, that's like Marvin Gaye and his dad. It's like anytime I guess that shows how old I am.
You took it there.
That shows my generation
right?
how old I am.
Oh, please.
No, I just feel like the kid he's every time he looks at his dad, there's just something in his eyes where it's like, I'm so disgusted with who you are, and I think that it's going to take Neville to do something huge, something very humane, like save the day somehow, some way, to win his son back. Because in essence, his son thinks he's selfish. He thinks that he just wants people to kiss his butt. That's why his son doesn't even think that Major Neville is fighting for a cause. Even has a true reason to fight. So I think it's going to take something to where like he saves a whole bunch of lives, or risk his own life for a greater cause. For his son to love him again, because that relationship is over.
Yeah, and then
but don't you think that was very interesting, though, the speech that he gave his son about how your mom and I sacrificed and all this kind of stuff? That was pretty deep.
Yes.
Yeah, and I want to say that I don't really necessarily think that they didn't have to run. Neville did not have to leave because of his son. Because if you remember, that happened a few episodes. The reason why he had to leave was because he did not deliver. He got captured by the Rebels, and so then he let them down.
Somebody to Bass.
No. Yeah. Well, they did. If he. Okay, yes.
But here's the thing. So when the officer came to Bass and told Bass, Major Neville is gone. Oh, by the way, we've heard some reports that his son is still alive. That whole conversation would have never happened had he been there and came back and everything was fine. But the reason he had to leave was because he knew, this is the last chance that I have from Bass. I have to deliver what he needs, and if I don't, that's my life. So for him to blame his son at this point, that really wasn't the reason he had to leave. That was part of it, but the major part was he didn't deliver.
Okay. I got you. But don't I recall that Neville tried to get his son to get away to save his son?
Yes, he did tell him.
He had his son run away.
Yeah.
So there was that compassion thing again. So he's got a lot of layers, too, going on. Of things inside of him,
Do you think
Loves
that they
his
can?
Wife, mad at his son because his son is so much like him.
Yeah, exactly.
Not really. He's not exactly like him, but there's some similarities between their personalities too.
Do you think that their relationship can be repaired?
I do.
Okay.
Really?
I do. Yeah, of course. I'm a girl. What? Yeah.
That's true, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a hopeless romantic. What?
Oh, you got a little Charlie in you right there. Like, wow. No, I don't know. That's funny you guys say that.
Yeah, and I think even though Jason says, I hate you, and that look, you only want to be on the side that will basically kiss your butt and gives you some kind of power. You know, I still think that there's hope for them. Something's going to happen. Maybe, like you said, Brandon, something that's, you know, going to really help a lot of people that might change things around for Neville and his son.
Yes.
I think. Yes.
I agree. I don't know what that could be, but I do think that there's so much hurt there, and sometimes in life when we have so much hurt packed on top of disappointment, we don't see clearly, you know, and we, you know, have to find a place to let it go,
right?
You know, and deal with it from that spot on. So yeah, I definitely, there's always hope.
Yes. Yeah. And so then, you know, when they're fighting, so of course, the here comes the Monroe Republic, as always.
Right on cue.
Right on cue. And they start shooting at the boat, and Miles comes out and helps his niece and Dr. Camp and his family escape. And they leave Major Neville to fend for himself. At this point, I'm like, oh, Major Neville's dead, because, you know, it's just him and the few men that are on the boat. I just felt like there's no way he's going to survive this. But then we find out that he does. How does this man make it, but everybody else on the boat dies? How is that possible?
That's part of my predictions.
Well, go ahead, Brandon.
I don't know if you guys want me to say it now, because I think it's part of the predictions. I think he made a deal. I think they were captured. There's something was going on, and he probably said, you know, I can take you to Miles. I can take you to where, you know, something you can meet up with them, or something, you can ambush these rebel forces or something.
That could be the case.
That's what I think happened. I mean, he's a slick guy. He's a slick character, you know. I feel like
we'll see next week.
No situation too big for him. He can get out of anything.
Yeah. I like that. That's a good one, Brandon. High five across the way. Boom. High five.
Good. That's a good point. I'll have to watch and see what happens.
Yes, and so he has this conversation with Miles about, you know, basically what he did. You let Dr. Camp get away. That's okay, because I'm gonna find him. And Miles tells him, no, you're not going to find him, because we made sure of that. I'm smarter than you. And I think that's true. I think if you got to put both of these guys against each other, I definitely think Miles will always win, because he's smarter, he's faster, he's more strategic than Major Neville is, I think. Yeah,
I think he thinks quicker on his feet without having to calculate. You know how some people just calculate things in life, and everything is meticulous or whatever. Miles is the kind he's quick. He's like a cat that lands on feet.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Because he can think up something in a split second. Whereas Neville may not be as quick. Neville has to plan a little bit better, you know, plan a little bit, period. So, I don't know. I agree with you, though. I think Miles is going to, for nothing else and for no other reason, based on the way the characters are written, you know.
Yeah.
He's got the good guy character. So, you know, they want it built like that, in my opinion.
And Miles,
but you never know.
You never know. But I think the downfall of Major Neville is his pride. And if you see, he's all about power and he's all about pride. And I think in this scene, you actually see that Miles one-ups him and tells him, like, flexes his muscles essentially, and says that President Foster doesn't care about your pride. She cares about W's, which are wins. And that's the reason why she aligned herself with Miles, because he delivers every time. And that was, I think
don't you think, though, that Neville gave you faith last night?
Yes.
That was one of the first times I've ever seen the subtleties, because based on the scenes and stuff like that, based on what was happening. I was like, boy, his face said everything that you needed him to feel.
Right.
It sure did. And I'm going, wow, that's powerful for someone to be able to convey that stuff, because he showed some of those vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
He showed the pride, he showed vulnerabilities, he showed fear, he showed anger, he showed so many different things. And I'm like, wow, Miles doesn't show that much. He doesn't show his cards that much.
He sure doesn't, but we see in the next scene that he shows his sexy, softer side when Nora comes in there half naked.
Okay.
Notice I said naked, not naked.
Somebody tweeted me and said, finally, some sexual scenes.
Yes.
This show doesn't have a lot of that.
So much tension, but just not the actual scene. Like the tensions with Charlie and Jason, the tensions with Nora and Miles, Rachel and Miles. Finally, Finally.
There was a little skin here. And if you look on NBC's website, they typically have something called Revolution Revealed for every episode. And the Revolution Revealed for this episode actually showed Daniela, who plays the role of Nora. She talks about this scene, and she said, we couldn't even film this scene in one day. We had to keep filming. She was like, it's so awkward. She was like, but I'm excited because she said that she was glad that they had this scene in the show because there really isn't essentially anything like that, and she's glad that her character was able to do that. But then she was like, oh, then I realized I have to do this. So it was a little awkward, but I think it was a good scene.
So funny.
How awkward is our on-screen kisses, though?
Last night. I was like, woo.
Maria, how awkward would you say are on-screen kisses?
Say it again.
How awkward would you say are on-screen kisses?
They're very awkward. I haven't had many in my career, but I've had some, and they're very awkward.
Oh, wow.
Makes you
because, for one, you got people looking at you.
Yes, that's true. A whole lot of people.
And we're not talking about, we're not talking about just the person you're kissing. We're talking about the crew. We're talking about the lighting people and everything. And it's kind of awkward. And I personally am like, okay, this is just, and I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. I don't like to just have anybody's tongue in my mouth that I don't know. You know what I mean?
That's so honest.
That I haven't really sat and had long conversations with and had dinner with at least. I know,
right?
You do what you do. We do it. We know the check's going to be good. We do it, right? So,
there you go. That's honest, Maria.
Very honest.
So we appreciate that.
I'm being completely honest about it because I remember this one time, and this was a long time ago. I was like, "Oh God, please don't let him put his tongue in my mouth. God, please don't let." This was inside conversation.
Wow.
And he kind of like, and I didn't know, like, how do you tell somebody you don't know? Don't put your tongue in your mouth because you don't want to act like you're better than somebody else. But at the same time, it's like, So we came to this compromise. We fake it out a little bit, but it looked real. I look back at the footage and I'm going, wow, that was pretty convincing.
Yeah, because that footage of Nora and Miles looks very convincing. Very convincing.
No, they were probably, that was real.
Okay, so let's talk about the other storyline in this episode, which is Rachel and Aaron. They make it to the Thompson tribal lands, which is in the Plains Nation, and they haven't eaten, so they talk to the man that's in charge of the Thompson tribal group, and he said, if I give you food, then I don't feed my kids. There's somebody that's on my side that doesn't get to eat, so I can't help you. So they steal the food, they get away, and then this guy comes looking for them by himself because he realized they stole something. I didn't know that Rachel was going to kill the man. I didn't know that. I felt like it was.
First of all, I'm going, does he really have to come that far just to get his food back?
Right.
I didn't realize he stole a gun.
That's true.
Right.
I'm thinking, it's just food, but I was like, wow. But Rachel is something else, man, because Rachel's character didn't start out like this in the very beginning.
Yeah, correct. And I think
for Rachel,
and she's been keeping, of course, like Aaron says, where'd you get this? You've had a gun this whole time? And she's like, yeah, Miles gave it to me, which I thought was like, well, why did you use it sooner? There's a couple other situations that would have been helpful.
Wow, I never thought about that.
Right? Because remember when they went to see Dr. Jane? And they were in the woods, and those two militia guys rolled up on them.
They came on them.
She didn't pull the gun out to shoot them.
Wow, and for the bounty hunter and that whole situation.
She had a gun this whole time. I would have said the same thing as Aaron.
She shot the guy earlier in the season who's tried to steal food from them.
Yes, that is true.
When the light first went out.
Yep, that is very true. So she does have that in her.
Rachel just has bodies under her belt right now.
Right.
She's
Rachel's that's where her stone cold killer daughter gets it from, right there. But then
Rachel's got a lot going on.
Yeah, so she kills the man, which I think it is worthy to say that this is what things have come to, because he says, you stole from me, now I have to take your life. That's how we do it in the high country. You pay with your life, which is wow. If we did things like that now, it wouldn't be too good, huh?
Wouldn't be too good right now.
Wouldn't be too good.
And she's had to make a decision too. Here we go again of her main mission is to get to that tower because she even told Aaron, he's like, "You wouldn't leave me." She said, "Yes, I would."
Yes,
I mean,
I would. Straight face.
for real?
Yes, I would.
I mean, that kind of hurt his feelings a little bit because I'm going, "Wow, dang, Rachel."
But that's how serious
but she was saying it because she has to make that higher decision of like, or that harder decision of this will save more people. I'd rather sacrifice what's going on, this right here for the greater good.
The greater good.
Yes.
And I don't know if everybody's completely convinced that Rachel's good or bad. I don't know. But
I think she's good.
She's got a major mission in mind.
I classify her as a good guy, good girl. Like
she's just a broken person, I would say.
She is.
She's been through a lot.
Yeah.
But I would say she's good overall. And so, of course, they try to escape. She breaks her leg, and it's a bad break.
It's terrible.
It's like the dude from the Louisville basketball team. What's his name, Wade?
Sweetheart, let me tell you, I still can't look at that footage.
That's a bad break.
I looked at that last night, and it caught me off guard because I was like,
through the leg.
Look,
and we know when something like that happens in this time, you're pretty much dead because there's nothing to clean the infection. There's no medicine or surgery. So she's telling Aaron, go, because you looked at my leg, you saw it. There's no way I'm going to make it through. And he doesn't want to leave. But then, of course, we see that the guys find her in the truck, and they're shooting at her, and she shoots back. And Aaron comes back in the nick of time. And you guys, this was a very big moment for him because Aaron actually killed somebody this time. He stabbed the guy.
Aaron has stepped up. He has stepped up and started playing the game. I'll say when I saw that, I was like, okay, there you go.
Come on.
At some point, everybody has to be on the defensive.
You're right. And this finally showed up. Go ahead, Brittany.
I can't really say he stepped up. They're using him as a punching bag right now.
Well, okay,
I'm tired of it.
But he killed somebody. He finally killed somebody.
It doesn't matter. They have him. It's not supposed to work out like this where he's getting beat up and then at the last second somebody saves his life. It's not supposed to. If you're going to ambush somebody, you have to kill somebody if you're going to ambush somebody.
You're right. Okay, so he's not the best at fighting, but he tried.
Okay, right, we got that. But go back an episode before that, maybe an episode or two, I can't remember, when he saw his wife.
The bounty hunter.
Was it last week? He saw his wife, and then he's trying to help her out, but he tries to fight the guy, but again, he gets his,
I guess he does enough.
Leave me alone, and Aaron, forget about me.
He does
and he's defeated again. He fights, but he gets defeated. So it's kind of like,
he just does enough, I would say, to make sure that the people don't die. That's as far as he goes. He's not going to kill a whole lot of people, but he does enough to help other people kill other people. How about that?
Right.
But make sure if you guys are watching this, make sure you subscribe on iTunes because then you can get this podcast every week. And make sure you rate us. Give us 5 stars. Comment. Let us know what you think about the podcast. And you can also watch us live every week on iPads, iPhones, any of your mobile devices. We're streaming live. Just go to AfterBuzzTV.com. And so at the end of this episode, we see that Rachel shows Aaron in the book that Dr. Jane gave them that he's on page 74. And he asks the question, why is he in this book? Why is he in this book, Maria?
Yeah, well, this is going to be the diplomatic, politically correct answer.
Okay.
He's like confused because he thinks he's coming along for a ride, and it's been calculated all along.
Oh, very good.
It has been planned and plotted all along. And then it just kind of reflects back to Ben. I don't know if you remember the episode where, oh, God, I forgot his name that fast. The man that captured me.
Oh, yes.
Randall.
Randall. When Randall was still with the DOD, and Rachel and Ben and me and another scientist, we were all in the lab. It just goes back to all of that. Everything has been like calculated. Everything has been just, Aaron thought, hey, lights went out and I lost my wife, and my gosh, I'm just trying to survive. And
then the very end, we see you, Grace. We see you, and you finally get the elevator working. We're so proud of you. But then Mr. Austin decides he wants to take a trip down there, and he gets killed. What kills him? What kills him?
Can't say.
You can't say?
I can't say.
I have to ask you.
I can't say really. I really can't say.
I will just say I think it's the nanites. That's what I say.
Let's just say that the turn of events, if you think that you were twisted and turned already, wow, just keep watching.
Oh, well, that's a good way.
Because just when you think you've figured it all out, you don't have it. You know, it's like, wow, how did they come to that? Oh, my goodness.
Right.
Yeah, it's gotten me, too, so it'll definitely get all the rest of you. But let's just suffice to say that all of that panting that I was doing, all of that gasping is
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Watching the next episode.
Okay, so we'll do that. So you know what? That's a great way to end this episode of our after show. Maria, thank you so much for coming on and being pretty much a guest host with us.
So much fun.
You're so awesome. And if you want to check out Maria, make sure you go to her website, mariahowell.com. And where can they find you on Twitter?
They can find me Maria Sings Acts. They can actually go to mariahowell.com, and Twitter, Facebook, everything is there.
Perfect. And
so
also,
they don't have to think but once. Maria Howell. That's it. Go
and then you are in the upcoming Hunger Games, which comes out in November. So make sure you guys watch for that. Maria's on fire.
There you go, Maria.
Maria's doing big things. All right, Brandon, where can they find you? You
can find me on Twitter at The Cultured Athlete, and you can find me on my website, www.brandon-london.com.
Awesome. And I'm your host, Megan Thomas. As always, you can find me on all of your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, all of your social networks at Meg Scoop, like scoop of ice cream. It's been real. Thanks, guys.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.